There was a point, maybe around 5 years ago, where I'd become overweight. I wasn't obese. I wasn't morbidly obese. I'm 6 foot 3 inches. And at that time, I got up to about 230 pounds. That wouldn't be a problem if it was mostly muscle because I'm so tall. The problem was it was mostly fat. I didn't measure my body fat in my body fat percentage, but I was guessing that I was probably 25 or 30% body fat. I was flabby. I had a chubby face. I had a pretty substantial sized belly. My belly was protruding. And when you gain weight, for me, it happened kind of slowly. It wasn't something where, I was skinny one day and then the next day you wake up, look in the mirror, and you've gained all that weight. No, 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 no. How it happens for a lot of people and how it happened for myself was it was over time. It was over the span of many, many, many months where I just started to overeat. It became my coping tool. I was so stressed out during this period of life. This is years after drug and alcohol addiction, but I was going through so much stress, work stress, relationship stress, single parent stress, bills stress, many other types of stress. And one thing that I found was if I ate a bunch of pizza at night after work and followed it by a tub of Ben and Jerry's, that would just conquer my stress. What happens when you indulge in a bunch of comfort foods like that are high in carbohydrates, pizza, ice cream, just so high in sugar, simple carbohydrates, as well as, saturated fat and a bunch of other things. But that would bring down my cortisol level. I was abusing simple carbs and overeating carbs, as well as other things, to lower that cortisol, to be able to reduce that stress and relax. And by repeatedly doing that over and over again, now all of a sudden, not only did I need those types of foods to relax the stress, but eventually I needed all those junk foods and nasty foods, not in moderation, but in, as my everyday diet, just to be able to feel normal. Because if I tried to eat a salad or, grilled chicken with broccoli and rice or something like that, it didn't sound good. And when I would eat it, I would start going through sugar withdrawal. I would start going through all these withdrawals of these foods that I was binging on. But I didn't care that I was gaining weight. I didn't look my best, not at all. I didn't feel confident at that weight, not at all. But I was making lots of money at that point, getting a lot of stuff done. And so it was okay. Here is how my neuroassociations regarding this type of overeating and choosing the wrong foods and high calorie stuff like pizza and ice cream and California burritos, all sorts of other sweets and, high fat, just really fast food, takeout food and what have you. One day, two things happened in the same day. So I had gone out to breakfast by myself in the morning, got some work done on my phone, and I went out to breakfast at a Mexican restaurant, and I had this huge omelet, giant omelet, bunch of potatoes, and some toast and orange juice. When I left that Mexican breakfast restaurant, and I was walking down Newport Avenue in the town right close to me, Ocean Beach. I now live in Point Loma. One of my friends from high school that I hadn't seen in years was driving by in his truck, and I'm walking by myself, walking back to my car. My stomach's just, not only had I gained a bunch of weight and my stomach was big, but remember, I just had all those calories, a ton of carbs, just loaded it all up. So my belly was extra big, extra big. And I hear this out of this, I recognize my friend's truck. You can't miss it once you know what he drives. And I hear this from the window. "You're getting fat, Finch." That's my last name, Finch. That made me feel like shit. It was kind of funny, but then that was the first time that somebody else said something. Remember, when I was looking at my weight every single day, it kind of happens slowly, and then you look at yourself so much, you don't realize just how much weight you're gaining. And you can lower your standards and start to just be okay with being that weight. When you lower your standards, then, you fall down to where you've lowered your standards. So later on that same day in the evening, I saw another friend and he looked at me. He hadn't seen me in probably a year. He looked at me looked down at my belly, looked back up at my face, looked down at my belly and pointed down, looked up at my face, and he said, "What's going on with that thing, man?" That was it. Twice in the same day, I had two of my male friends basically talking some smack about it, like, "What are you doing, dude?" And at that point, I'm glad that they did that. I'm so glad that they did that. I'm glad that it happened in the same day, because what that did was it elevated how much pain I perceived with eating all those foods and overeating, and how much pleasure. Immediately from having those two things where people were noticing, they were, telling me about it. Obviously, it didn't look good. Now it wasn't just me that was noticing it. People were noticing it, and they were saying things, and that was making me feel bad about myself, not because, they said something bad, but because I knew I could do better. I knew that I had done better for so long in the past, and I knew that I had fell down to a place that wasn't my identity. I'm really into health and wellness and passion and energy and focus, and eating in that way, I wasn't having those great benefits. So immediately from those two interactions, I linked a 10 out of 10 pain to the behavior of overeating and choosing all those bad foods and in way over amounts. And then I all of a sudden linked a 1 out of 10 pleasure to it. Immediately. The next day I woke up, and my desire to get back to an ideal weight and look good naked was way, way, way stronger than my desire to eat pizza and Ben and Jerry's and all these other things to reduce cortisol and reduce stress and, kind of just get euphoric from food, basically, which can be used as a drug, which I was doing.